Talk shoes. Recorded live.
Hello, this is Kat Miller. It is Tuesday, April 5th, 2011, and I am here talking with our shaman, Dane Kirby. Welcome to you, Dane.
Thank you, dear. I'm so glad to be here as always,
Oh, I just totally love these conversations. I love the talkcasts I've been doing, and that I have stepped up the number of talkcasts I've been doing. I'm doing a variety of different ones, working with the Saturday ones, the Law of Attraction, switch words in EFT. That one's usually between 1 and 2 hours long, and then the ones I'm doing on Monday and Wednesday that are under Cat Talks, and this Tuesday one with Dane. I just love all of them, and it's so fun to get together and just yammer. yammer.
Between the two of us, I'm sure we can take up some airspace tonight.
Yeah, great. What did you want to talk about today?
Well, it's I noticed that several things have come up, just different assortment of questions, so it's kind of going to be a little catch-all bag tonight. Things like, let's say, people were wanting a little more detail on how to find their own energy and be aware of it and feel it. So I've got a little exercise that works quite nicely, and play with it, enjoy it. Truthfully, there are as many variations out there as there are people, but you find out they're all the same basic pattern for this little exercise. It's a lot of fun. And let's see, what else did we have in mind tonight?
Last week we talked about sharing energy with trees, and having them help heal us, and us help heal them. And we had some responses that was energetically fun to do, and in particular, Marianne was so enthused about that. And so it's awesome to see that you are giving things that people are very interested in. And I've had people say that they love listening to the little techniques that you give, and so thank you very much for what you do.
Sure, it's all about getting us, and I'm going to say reconnected, because we're born connected. We're never unconnected. We may let anger tell us we're unconnected, or fear, or pain, or hate. And hate really is just anger and fear together. So if you can disable one or the other, the hate's gone. We tell ourselves we're disconnected in bad times or rough times, but we're never disconnected from the source. It's with us at all times. So when I teach people things like this, it's just reconnecting. You've forgotten, or maybe you're too many hits and not enough hugs kind of life, and you may have just had it knocked out of you. So that's why it works for everybody that uses it, because we're all human, we're all connected to the source, and my job is, which, I don't know, is it really a job if I have so much fun doing it? So,
Exactly.
It's just so downright fun that there's times I'll be doing something, and Carrie says it's like, watching a little puppy when the owner comes home and the puppy hasn't seen him. She's like, you just wiggle, So I'm like, so I guess it's not work. I approach it like a puppy.
A simile came up for me, I guess, sort of a simile came up for me when you were talking about that source is always there, and you just wind up disconnecting. It's almost like your house is wired with electricity. Those lights will work. Those appliances will work, but they won't work if they're not plugged in, if they're not connected, if they don't have, you can turn it on, but if it doesn't connect to a source, it's not going to light up. It's not going to work. And it's very simple to just take that cord and plug it in to the outlet, and all of a sudden you're connected to source, and look at what happens. The TV actually turns on, the light turns on, the computer turns on, and everything works like it's supposed to work. Isn't that very similar to what we do to ourselves? Is we unplug from source? The source is there waiting for us.
No, source never leaves, ever.
Never.
By the very nature of what it is, it can't leave you. And it does not leave you, or any of us, me, you, them, they. It cannot be separated from us, other than we think we've separated ourselves from it. Give you to follow along with what you've said, I just saw a cool thing the other day that you remember. I'm telling tales here for both of us, but plug-in phones, yay, plug-in phones. They have enough power in that to run the new modern LED lights, and you can actually go on YouTube or anything and find out how to do that. So that even if your power is out, or if you just need a nice little light and, that doesn't need a lot of wattage, it's amazing how you can plug the LED lights with a little adapter into the phone lines and get light. Now, unfortunately, many, as in the majority of people at one time in their life or the other, go through a phase of where they think they're only worth that little bitty trickle.
Uh-huh.
And that's where actually I get most of my, well, again, it's not work, but that's where I spend most of my time with people, is making sure that they understand at all levels that a little trickle, that's them. And what they either have had happen to them has caused them to be there, convinced them, somebody convinced them, maybe they just thought, I'm not worthy. Who knows what the reason is? There's millions of reasons. And the reasons, honor them, say that's nice, now throw it the heck out and let's get your channel open again. So most people, at one time or the other, and it's amazing how many people, the more they stress, you always cut yourself off to a degree from source. Otherwise, you wouldn't have so many stress-related illnesses, which the last study I looked at was up as high as 97% now. Coming out of the National Institute of Health, they're saying that 97% of illnesses in this world are stress-related.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're connected to source, there is no stress other than eustress, eustress, which is good stress that causes you to grow, like plants growing towards the sun, as the breeze blows on them, that kind of thing. Gravity,
With what you just said with the EU stress,
mm-hmm.
so that people understand EU in medical terms, that put in front of anything means normal. EU means normal.
Well, I just learned something. I didn't know that.
Having been a medical transcriptionist, I'm very familiar with things like that. In fact, medical terminology, for the most part, is they take a whole bunch of little words and put them together. And that makes a great big word that looks really scary. Euthyroid, EUTHYROID, that just means normal thyroid. So you've got hypothyroid. Hypo means below normal. Hyperthyroid, which means above normal. And you have euthyroid, which is normal.
Wow. And let me guess, it all comes from Latin?
Yes, of course.
Okay. I like that. I did not know that. See? Look at there. I just learned something. This is cool. And, since we're playing bounce around tonight, we're just going with things happen. Since we are talking medical, as in you just brought it up, so I'm going to run with it, okay? A lot of folks ask me, Dane, this whole shamanic thing and hands-on and cooking people, and a lot of people say, oh, you're a healer. And I said, no, I'm just the person that's there when you need me, is the way I look at it. And actually, in all honesty, you'll never see me as Shaman Dane other than for Kat, okay, on this talk. I don't tell people I'm a shaman. I just go do what I'm here on this earth to do, okay? And I think Kat did it just to watch me twitch. But doctors will sit there and, people say, oh, how about you and doctors? How do you get along? And I can tell you right now, unequivocally, you got a good doctor, you stick with them. I don't like this mentality I've seen of a lot of people saying, oh, forget Western medicine. I'm going purely this, or this. Whatever complementary route they want to go. And then I've seen the other extreme. Oh, Western medicine only. I would never touch the complementary stuff. And that's wrong. You have a beautiful time in the span of humanity here where East and West is coming together. It comes down to it, and again, I lived in Asia for many years. In my experience, I've seen that on long-term care, I love the way things work out of Asia. I love the way energy works for people, things like that. But by the same token, if I'm walking across the street and I get hit by a bus, get me to the hospital and get me to the best surgeon you can find, Now, on the way, if you happen to be able to grab somebody like me or somebody like Kat that can also jump in there and make my recovery 10 times faster or help keep me stable, please do that. But there's a reason it should all work together. Don't separate it. And I never have a problem when I go to hospitals. I have never. In 20, oh Lord, are we talking going on 30 years? I guess we are. I have never had a problem. I'll have doctors and nurses come in and want to work around me and say, oh, I'm sorry I'm disturbing you. And I'm like, no, get in here. I'll work around you. We work it out. Mm-hmm. And well, that's just never an issue for me because it's a given. People know that I'm doing the right thing.
Mm-hmm. I'm reminded of when we were working together with Jane Doe,
mm-hmm.
and we had nurses watching a lot of what we did, mm-hmm. and they were very interested in what we were doing. And in fact, I recall a few times when nurses would pull the curtain so nobody mm-hmm. outside, and we were in a surgical ICU, and so the doors were basically glass and wide open that they could see anything that was going on in the room unless the curtain was pulled. And mm-hmm. I don't know how many times I had nurses pull the curtain and say, okay, do what you just did to her, to me.
Yep. Yes, indeed. And my favorite thing is always, I've got a spare hand, do you mind? And they'll say, no, what are you going to do? And I'll put a hand on them, and they just kind of go, oh, this is good.
Oh, it was just so funny. I recall one nurse going around telling everybody, watch for the lady that makes the butterflies. And when you see that lady, tell her to fix your electromagnetic system.
Yeah, you messed up is not the correct term, but I swear that's how people left there going, that woman just messed me up, but it's good, you know. And you straightened out a lot of circuitry on folks with that one. And that was cool for me because I had never seen it done that way at all. Mm-hmm. And that was what was so fascinating working with you when we did work together like that is, oh, wow, that's a whole, not even a different school, but just a different way of thought.
Yeah, completely
and I had never encountered it that way before. So it was fascinating. Mm-hmm. I thoroughly enjoyed that.
Well, I was introduced to you as you being a Reiki master. That's how you were referred to when I first heard that you were working with Jane Doe. And then a little bit later it was, well, he does a few other things. And by the time I got to Michigan, it was, yeah, he's a shaman too. And so I was very interested to see what all of this meant that you were doing because, yeah, it was different from stuff that I do. And
that's it.
So it was really interesting.
And another thing that I've noticed over the years in the hospitals is I walked in many years ago when my master threw me to the wolves, and he was old school. He recently passed away, and you know he's missed, but I still talk with him on a regular basis. He was old school Reiki school. He would throw you right in front of the bus to get you better, because he believed the only way you're going to get better is to do. So he called me up, and I had been training with the man for a year. Oh, by the way, at that time, you didn't even think of getting your master's certification from him until you'd been working 2 years. So he's adamant about the whole Reiki master in 2 weekends, not a chance. And in all honesty, I'll agree with him on that because your body has to have time to adapt. I did get him to admit before he passed on that, yes, the world has changed energetically considerably, so you can get your masters faster, but still, not in 1 or 2 weekends, please. Your body and mind and spirit need time to adapt and tune in to work with the energy. But he threw me to the wolves one night with a lady they had called and said, oh, our matriarch of our clan, our grandma, you can tell I come from the Scottish end of things, the clan, she had a stroke, and they had called him and said, we want you up here. And much like it ended up with Jane Doe, he calls me up and says, Dane, you're up. And I said, really? What am I doing? He says, you're going to the hospital, you're getting paid for doing Reiki on a woman that had a stroke. So after I got through with the shakes and the heebie-jeebies, I went out there, and I get in the room. There's 3 incredibly worried granddaughters and 1 grandson, and the matriarch, the grandmother, she was there, every bit of 77, and I stood there for a little bit just soaking in everything that was going on, and it seemed important to me at the time. I said, just so you know, I'm not Christian. And she said, just so you know, young fella, if you can help me, it doesn't matter. And so I was like, okay, well, let's go with that. And when it was all said and done, after 3 sessions with her, I, to this day, will tell you I learned far more working with her than I ever believe I did for her, to the point that I showed up the 4th night, even though I was done with my 3 sessions, which is normally all I ever do is 3, because everything I do, the energy and everything is geared for 3 normally. I showed up the 4th night, and her room was empty. I'm like, uh-oh, what happened? They said, oh no, the lady you were working with, they checked her out today. She went home. And I looked at them, I said, but she had a stroke. And they said, sure, yeah, we thought that she'd be in rehab for months and everything. But the doctors did all kinds of tests and everything last night and this morning, and as far as they're concerned, she's perfectly healthy, 77-year-old, strong as an ox woman, and they let her check out so that she could go. She lived about several hours from there, back home, and then her local doctor is going to keep an eye on her. So you could have blown me over with, just a little bitty breeze on that one. But that's the way I was trained. Also, people say, well, a lot of your teaching with the Reiki, the hypnosis, and other things, the running joke from my master used to be that I was a shaman trained by wizards. So needless to say, that's a little confusing. But it's true. I got my training wherever I could from people that I trusted. And that'll lead you to another thing. You can find somebody that's, oh, I'm the best shaman in the world. Oh, I'm the hypnotist to the gods. Oh, I'm the Reiki master to the stars. And truthfully, if you don't like them, don't go to them. I'll tell you that with anybody. If you've got a medical practitioner you don't like, guess what? You have free will. Get a second, third, fourth opinion. When you're dealing with your health and your life or wanting to make your life better, deal with people that care about you. Don't deal with somebody that's just there to take your money. Now, have I had teachers that were literally people I did not like, but they had a skill I wanted to learn? Yes. Is it something that I wanted to do? No, but they happen to be the only person convenient. And also, I'm very determined if I want to do something. So I was willing to put up with their garbage because it was worth going past their garbage for the skill they could teach me. But for Joe average population, you want to go through your day and have a good day, please find somebody that cares about you. If you have just like, ugh, I don't like that person, or, ooh, I walked in here and it just gives me the creeps, leave. That's your right as a human being on this planet. That's free will. Don't worry about the other person's feelings either. Don't let them guilt you into something you don't want to do. And the reason I'm adamant about this is I've seen it happen too many times. There have been situations where I've had to step in for a person that was being played, used, and abused. And so the least amount of times I have to do that in life, the better it is, because it's not a good situation to put yourself into. So I'm more than happy to tell people, you got free will, use it. Because the more you use your free will, by the way, the stronger you get, and the more of your own energy you cultivate. So it's a win-win situation for yourself.
May I back you up to the person that you really didn't want to really be around, but they were the only one that had what you wanted to get, so you just bucked up and went through it?
Go for it.
Now, I suggest this is wisdom from my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
She says she actively manipulates her view on everybody that she has issues with. She says, if I find myself in an energy, especially at work or somewhere where you've got to be with somebody,
mm-hmm.
she actively manipulates her point of view regarding them. She has the attitude that what they think of me is no consequence to me.
Mm-hmm.
What I think of them has huge ramifications for me. I will find something about them, no matter how tiny or minuscule it is, that I like, and I will focus on that to the point where I find myself eventually accepting them, and occasionally I wind up liking them.
I like that.
She says it just makes a world of difference in your ability to work with somebody.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah,
then let me toss this one to you then.
Sure.
Carrie, my wife, she says that the reason a lot of things that I don't find them emergencies like a lot of people do is because I've done so many different things all over the world and been in so many, I guess you would say, emergency situations that to me very few things are. And so I automatically trust how I feel about things. I don't think about it because I know that that inner voice is never going to do me wrong because I've been listening to it for a long, long time and we understand each other. So, what would you say about, again, this is going with what you just said, that you walk into a place and you're supposed to work with somebody, we'll pick chiropractor. Sorry, chiropractors. There are many great chiropractors out there, but you're on the hot seat right now. We're just generally picking, let's say you walk into a chiropractor's office and it's like, man, I don't know if I like the feel of this place. And you get in there to the room and you're like, I don't even like the way this guy is wanting to manipulate my body around, et cetera, et cetera. Now, how would you apply what she's saying to that? And this is me asking because I'm curious.
First of all, consider that you're working with, always, 100% of the time, the law of attraction. You are in that particular office for a particular reason. You attracted that office to you, or that office attracted you. Whatever way it was, it's something. It either means there is something there that you need to straighten out, or there's something about you that needs to be straightened out. I'm using straightened simply because it's chiropractic.
There you go. See? That works.
So consider that, especially if you find yourself going from one doctor to another doctor to another doctor to another doctor because nobody seems to satisfy you, because you are always coming into a negative energy when you walk into a doctor's office, consider that perhaps your focus is taking you there. Something about where you're focused. What is it that you're focused on? What is it that the universe is trying to tell you? Okay, look at law of attraction. You're always looking for what you want, not what you don't want. I've been on the wrong end of not wanting to hurt someone. When you say, I don't want to hurt you, when you think, I do not want to hurt this person, you're in the wrong spot. Because guess what? You're going to hurt them.
Well, I was going to say, you got to remember, I'm from the way deep south. So if I say I don't want to hurt you, that means I want to club you. So, I mean, that's really what we're saying here. And then chances are I'll throw a God bless you in on that too.
But when you're saying I don't want to, you are focused on whatever follows that. And whatever follows I don't want to is what's going to happen.
Okay.
And so when you are walking into a doctor's office and you are feeling all of this negative energy and you are feeling like this guy is not where I want to be, this isn't what I want to do, well, one of the first things I think I would do is discuss with them, ask them, why do I feel uncomfortable in your office? it will throw them for a loop.
And you may be doing them a favor.
And they may look at you and say, I don't know, why are you? And it's like, you can tell them, I don't know. And you may have a discussion ensue that may be beneficial for both of you. Who knows?
I like that.
But when you walk into situations where you are totally uncomfortable, stop, recognize you have attracted this situation. Why? Is it because, in your case, Dane, you are a healer? Is there something in this situation where somebody is needing something and you are there to offer it? Look at that possibility. Another thing that I highly recommend to anybody, and you know this, Dane, is violet around both wrists. When you enter a hospital, when you go to a doctor's office, when you go anywhere where there's a lot of negative energy, if you have unbroken violet around both of your wrists, you are separating your energy from those negative energies around you. I've had so many people who have benefited, and it doesn't matter what material you use. You can use yarn if you want to. It's just the color violet that makes the difference.
I've seen it work all the way across the board. There was even a debate about a violet tattoo around the wrist.
Yeah.
Well, that would work, yeah. And for all of you that are sitting here going, hey, whoa, so Dane does it this way, but Kat does it this way when dealing with things. Guess what? That's how we learn, folks. That's what this conversation's all about. Yeah. And my way for me is I know that if I encounter a situation that's like, don't like that person, don't have to be around them for what I want to do, then I don't. And that's what works for me.
And that's okay.
And that's because I know that works for me. So that's okay for me. And for a lot of folks, I run into them, they're like, oh, I can't stand that person, I don't want to be around them. What should I do? And it's a case of making the choice. Do you step up and say, look, why am I uncomfortable in your office? Do you figure out that, wow, I just need to walk away? Again, we're back to free choice here. But the cool thing is, Kat just came up with options that I don't deal with that often because I don't have to. I know where I am and what I want to do, but she's also got me interested going, wow, if I run into this again, which admittedly isn't often, I'm going to try a Kat thing or two and see how that feels just to do it. And that's why we're having these discussions, so that we can all learn something.
My biggest perspective on that is when it happens and happens and happens. You see it once.
Gotcha. Yep.
Okay.
If nobody's meeting your needs, then what is it about your needs that nobody can meet? Yeah.
What is it? What are you focused on? What is it that the universe is trying to tell you? There's something in your focus that you need to clean up to get what you want. That's basically what it is.
I've irritated a few people in my life saying, look, you walked in here, you want this, this, and this, and I'm not the person for you. They don't want to hear that. And it's come up that I may be the 1st or the 10th or the 15th. And then it's a case of, like you're saying, since no one can satisfy you, then what is it about yourself that you're not satisfying and you're looking outside yourself?
Yes. What the universe is showing you is a reflection of yourself. Oh, yeah, this week, Dane.
Did we just write 20 paragraphs to get to the perfect paragraph? Is that what happened?
Well, no, I was just thinking, I just remembered during this week a technique that you used when we were working together with putting the reflection, the mirror, in front of people that were working with the patients who were carrying negative energy as they were coming in and going out.
Oh, you're giving away all my secrets now, dear.
Yeah, I know. But we were going to talk so much about the world around you and how it's a reflection of you, and that's a perfect thing. And I think you talked a little bit about using a mirror to see yourself and see what you're saying and how you're presenting yourself to the world. But it just, this week, the thing that came up was the phone call when Jane Doe's husband and I were on the road, and you had one particular person that just would not allow the mirror to be put in front of them. And the immediate image I got was Lily Pond. And when I couldn't even get the words out when I was talking to you on the phone about what it was I was seeing. It took me 5 minutes to tell you what it was that I wanted. I said lily pond, and you said, "Oh yeah, I can just put their feet in the lily pond." I just kept laughing and couldn't say no head first. And that was
just so you folks out there understand, there are times, especially if you've been working for somebody for 12 hours straight, that kind of thing, that you get tired, period. We're human, okay? But you'll bump into these people that they're, well, supposed to be caregivers, and for whatever reason, they don't care anymore. And so they tend to, irritate you, especially if they seem to be unraveling the work that you're doing, that you're spending honest time on. And so every once in a while, I have to admit, we didn't run into many.
No,
considering how long this went on and considering the situations with the hospitals, I would say honestly, there were 2 that I know of that we really had to get out of the situation, and they did. They did leave. And by the way, I did like your changing the floor blue technique for that. That was really nice, and conservation of energy came to mind when you told me that one. I was like, I like that, because once you set it up, it's self-propagating. That's really smooth.
Oh, it was awesome. It was awesome.
And it's amazing, though, if you clean the energy up, people that don't want the energy happy or cleaned up tend to leave. They will leave, especially if you're coming from a good place, a peaceful place. I'm going to be careful, and I would almost say determined, but a lot of people can be determined, but they're angry. So if you're coming from a good, happy place, when you put this energy out of, I want people here that care, in whatever situation you're in, I want people around me that care. And if that's your continuous message, that's what you get. Every time, that's what you get. Might take, well, Kat, what's the longest you've ever seen that take for somebody to do anything like that? I've seen it take as long as, actually about 6 months, but that was really an odd exception to the rule, and the situation they were in wasn't anywhere near normal. I'd say on average, I've seen it take about the longest month, clean somebody's field of so-called friends up. Have you seen, because you do something similar to that, and have you ever noticed any kind of time frames for you, or you just not even worry about it?
Yeah, I don't pay a lot of attention to that. I just do what needs to be done. But what is generally seen when it comes to changing perspectives, changing permanently, you got 3 weeks. 3 weeks, there's a habit. 3 weeks.
Yeah, 21 days, yeah.
And I really, really noticed that when I was up in Michigan, because I was in Michigan for 36 days. So that was long enough to make the hotel be my home. And there was a little bit of apprehension about leaving Michigan to come back here, because it's like I'm in such a habit. I've been in this space for this period of time. This is a routine. This is, and it felt like it was something that was going on forever. And it was just a really interesting perspective to see it. It's like, I've been here 36 days. The first, 5 days were in one hotel, and then the whole rest of the time was in another hotel. And it was just really remarkable to see that, because it was absolute routine. It had been more than 3 weeks, and whatever I was doing, it was total routine. And so I think that as far as it goes with changing perspectives, with changing thought patterns, with getting into the space of positive thoughts of possibility of doing things, where you have permanent changes, you're talking 3 weeks, generally speaking. It's a
and
habit.
would you tend to say that that's the body needs that time more than anything for it to physically adapt? Because in some cases, we've done hypnosis, and instantly the change takes effect.
Yes.
But we have always noticed that you really kind of want to pay attention to it for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, just to make sure, that whatever part of them that might still hold the old way isn't trying to remanifest, if you would say.
You gotta, when you get rid of a negative behavior pattern, it's got to be replaced with something positive.
Always.
Because when you open up a space, you've got to fill it with something, because if you don't, chances are they're going to return to that, or something else is going to take the place. Why not choose what takes the place rather than just let something leak into the space?
Yeah, well, anytime it leaks into, it's never in your favor. No, it's never in your favor. You're right. It's always worth doing it yourself. And that also gives you more power and creates the win-win for you. And again, I want to point out to everybody tonight, this is Kat and I just talking, working things out with each other, learning something about each other and something new to do, or maybe something old to do that one of us hadn't seen or the other hadn't seen. And it's funny because you'll be surprised how many times people say, man, you guys were like arguing. And, oh, man, she had you on the ropes, Dane. And it's like, wow, you really were getting Kat. And it's like, no, this isn't anything like that. This is no competition. This is how Kat and I happen to learn from each other. We're having a good time here. We're figuring things out. And I'm glad it's evolved to this, really. Was this the 4th session? This is a good thing. Makes my day better, because anytime I can learn something cool, I'm all for it.
Yeah. Well,
so I'm really liking this. And it keeps my perspectives fresh.
Yeah, last week was just amazing to see what came up as we were talking. Because you had a wonderful meditation technique, and you opened right up to meditation and giving, chanting something or whatever. And immediately, as you said that supreme, which had only just that afternoon been defined as a switch word, and in fact had been defined just maybe an hour before the talkcast, it was just awesome to see that all of that stuff came together, and it was like a whole new technique was there that evolved during the talkcast. That's
it. But that's what happens when you've got people working together that have a common goal of uplifting of spirit. At least it's what happens when we get together and do that. And that's fine by me. Matter of fact, since you said that, since we're pushing the time here, I've noticed, how about I go ahead and shoot a little video of the energy form, the little Qigong form, on showing people how to work their energy, and I'll figure out how to post the link to that, and I'll put that up tomorrow. That way they actually have a visual of me doing it instead of me just trying to talk people through tonight and taking 10 minutes to do it. Because I have to admit, there's one other thing I believe is more important right now that I'd like to bring up.
That would be great.
Okay, and for what it's worth, folks, I'm going to learn how to link a video. Yay! But just for you, I'll learn, okay? So the thing that's more important for me right now that I wanted to talk about is, wow, and this is tying in with what you said earlier, and I even had answered Marianne that this was going to come up tonight. So the people around you define you in a lot of ways, because the people around you chose at many different levels. Now, it's come down to Kat and I clicked. We met in what was a tough situation. I mean, by the time that was all said and done, that was 4 months with what was going on. So we met in the middle of, the thick of it, you would say, and that's when you find out the people around you what they're worth when the pressure's on like that, or when it's getting gritty.
Yeah. And
it came down to Kat, like, Dane, you got to get out there. I want you blogging. I want you out here. And I said, cool, sounds great. Hey, folks, I'm an old pinball kid. Blogging? would know how to blog, even if you beat me on the keyboard. So Kat set it all up to blog. And I started and then let my life get full of other things because it came down to, oh man, blogging, really? And it just was a case of my own doubts, fears, that kind of thing. Ooh, wow, the shaman saying he has doubts and fears. Guess what, folks? Human, okay? Let's go with human here. And if I didn't have doubts and fears, you wouldn't want me working on you. It's that simple. Now, when I am working with you, I have no doubt about what I'm doing. I know exactly what's going on, and I'm willing to adapt and make it happen. But this is a case of, blogging, and nothing happened. I meant well, and I really wanted to. And then Kat said, this isn't working for Dane. We need to do something different that's going to jiggle Dane's chain, which, by the way, she presented to me. Cats are like that, I've noticed. And she said, Dane, we're starting a podcast, and you're on it. You're my Tuesday night guy. Well, okay, guess what? Dane doesn't get out from under that one, does he? But, she figured out what I had to have in my life so that I can expand to get to everybody else, because Kat wanted more for me. And Kat's smart enough to know that I was in a position to do a lot more than I was doing at the time and enjoy it. But myself, I didn't know that at the time. So Kat reached out, grabbed me by the scruff, gave me a shake, and here I am. Now, we're also buds and friends, and this is all good. But this is where I'm wanting to make a point to you. This is who the people you want around you. These are the kind of people you want to fill your life with, is people that care. People that are like, man, I know Joe Bob there's, doing rough, but, I'm going to take him on and we're going to do this. Now, also, Kat was smart enough to know, and I've seen this because of other things that with living in Asia and the military and things like that, there's certain situations you can't put people into. They're going to fold. But nothing says you can't put them into a situation where they're going to grow, and then what used to be a situation that would cause them to fold doesn't exist anymore. And Kat proved that to me. She said, blogging's not working for you, Dane, but you're good when you're out there talking to people. You care. It comes through in your voice. And it's good for you because this is part of your Holy Trinity. As you learn, get out there and talk with people, I'm making my own inner voice stronger to where I'm finding out, hey, this blogging stuff's kind of neat. Even though it's not of my generation and it's not something I was ever interested in, I'm actually having fun with it. So, and that's because Kat's a persistent cat, okay? So again, folks, like I'm saying, just because I'm a master at several things doesn't mean by any stretch of the imagination I'm a master at everything. Don't intend to be, not going to be. Okay, there are so many things in this life I truly want to do and things I don't want to do. And that applies to you out there listening to this. Don't try and master everything. Go for the things you love. Let's get real here. To truly master something takes 10 years on average. Okay? I've mastered several different hands-on arts between the hypnosis, the Reiki, and the shamanic work, and a couple other things. There are other arts I am mastering. So pick and choose the good stuff is what I'm saying. Don't waste your time out there going, oh, I'm the master of icky life. I'm the master of the miserable day. That's a dime a dozen. And truly, when it comes down to it, that's not what you want to be. You just may have ended up there because, wow, you didn't have a cat at the time to grab you by the scruff and reach up there and shake you and say, hey, you're going to do this instead. So, Kat, you're my Oprah. Thank you. Just don't call me Dr. Phil, please.
Never.
Okay. And but that's why I want to get to folks, and that's why Kat and I are having fun doing this, and that's why we're going to go back and forth, and we're going to, chew the fat, shoot the bull, and we're having fun doing this. And we're going to squabble back and forth and have a great time. But that's all about life and about growing. So my question for all you folks is, what are you doing for yourself out there to surround yourself with these cool people? And that's where we're headed with this kind of stuff. That's why Kat and I are talking as part of that, to help you surround your life with cool people like I have with Kat and my wife, and the cool people around me that are students and teachers to me. Okay, I'm out of air there. Here we go, Kat. Your turn. It was just very important that I get that out, and that's why I'd rather just shoot the video for the other part.
Yes. Perspective is everything.
Yes.
And if you don't like your perspective, back up, look, rethink, look for other points of view. Perhaps you are not seeing whatever, in fact, I can about guarantee you, you are not seeing what everyone else is seeing. I was kind of surprised when I went to the Landmark Forum. At one point, I was up in the front in a one-on-one discussion with the discussion leader, and he was pointing different things out to me, and I don't remember exactly what it was all about, but I do remember after I came back to my seat, the gentleman that was sitting next to me, who had become very protective of me during the 3 days of the forum, told me he was at one point ready to get up and punch the discussion leader for attacking me. And I thought that was really kind of interesting because I didn't feel like I was being attacked. But his perspective was that whatever leading questions or whatever it was that the discussion leader was doing was an attack on me. Totally different perspective.
Right.
And me, being the person that was being attacked, didn't recognize I was being attacked.
Yeah.
And, as far as it goes, the discussion leader was leading me in the direction to make it so that I could see something that I wasn't able to see before.
Right.
And so, perspective, big deal. And
well, then, with what this has led to, then this is bringing me back again, circling here to what I had said earlier, that as a clarification, then, and again, it has to do with, like my wife said, I've done so much of this for so long, I don't realize I have to really, really clarify for folks a lot of times. On people that, if you found somebody, you're like, oh man, I just don't want to deal with that person. I'll clarify that then and say, if it's somebody that just gives you the bad jeebies, like, whoa, something's wrong here. Not a case of, oh man, that person's a pain in my butt. But I mean, something is really wrong with this situation or this person. Then start listening to yourself and do something about it. Now, does that, Kat, do you think that makes more sense to folks that don't do this kind of stuff every day?
Yeah. If you've got a vibe that says there's something very wrong, listen. There is indeed something very wrong.
Yes. So that's where, see, we worked this another half hour it took of conversation for me to actually clarify that for everybody. And again, that's the cool thing. I get to learn all the time doing this. And I've noticed that folks in the West tend to make a common assumption that, oh, you're a master at something, so that means you've mastered it all. Sure, I'm a master at 3 things right off the bat that I can name. And I learn more about them every chance I get. Because a true master always keeps learning. The day you stop learning, you're no longer a master of anything. Now you're just a place marker, and the world's going to pass you by.
The more you learn, the less you know.
Oh, yeah. Isn't that the truth? Oh, yeah.
Because the second you think you know it all, you just became a student again. Because
or you got your butt handed to you.
Yep. So never think you know it all, because the moment you do, you will realize that you don't know anything.
That's right. And unfortunately, that attitude makes you stagnant. And if you become stagnant, then all of a sudden things start sticking to you that you don't want, stress. You start attracting the stuff you don't want in life. Motion in life is all about movement, passion, compassion, happiness, warmth, and all these things are active. And as long as you're active in your mind and your heart and your spirit, you're going to do a lot better than if you're like, oh man, I don't really care anymore, and I'm just going to sit here. Well, unfortunately, you just became extra gravity attractive.
You've just focused on the third and probably one of the most important parts of working with the law of attraction. Law of attraction, which states that which is like unto itself is drawn. To activate and align with and work with the law of attraction, to make your world what you want your world to be, first thing is your intention. And we've talked about don't make it negative.
Oh, yeah.
Don't say I don't want, say I want. You don't say I don't want to forget, you say I want to remember. Then you say it out, not just to yourself, not just in your mind. You've got to speak to people. You've got to enroll them in what it is you want. You want to get them excited about what it is you're creating. And once you start to do that and you start to speak what it is you are creating, the ball is rolling. Now you must stand in your integrity. And what that means is start action. You have to take action, and that's what it is that you were just talking about, is action. You must take action consistent with what it is you're intending, with what it is you are telling people, what it is you've been enrolling people in creating with you. Because your co-creators are not going to do it all for you. You got to be there to do it too.
Bravo, dear. The whole conversation was worth just that last minute and a half there.
Awesome.
Really. There's your pearl.
Well, you, my dear, are an absolute pearl. I am so glad that we met. I know that you are one of the main reasons why I actually went to Michigan, because there was a desire to have people like you in my life, and I do. And I am so happy that you are with us on Blue Iris in the forum. And for anyone who's listening, wants to follow Dane's blog, it is at blueiris.org. That's BLUEIRIS.org/forum. And if you go there, you will need to register. If you register, then I have to approve you. Once I've approved your membership there, you can read all you want on the forum. If you drop me a line at ehdef.com@gmail.com, that's E as in energy, H as in health, D as in dynamics, E as in emotional, F as in freedom.com@gmail.com. If you're not getting into the forum when you have said you want to, or you've tried to register and you're not getting in, you can drop me a note and tell me, hey, I'm trying to get on the forum and I'm not getting registered or whatever. If you just drop me a note and let me know, I will send you back a note and register you at whatever email address you send that to me at, so that you can get on. And I have opened it up so that people who are not subscribed with Blue Iris can post, but I have a lot of robots and whatever that have come in, and I have to know that you are actually a live human being who will post something on the forum according to what's there, rather than ads for whatever the robots want to do. Just dropping me a note will let me know that, hey, I would like to be able to post on the forum, and that will let me open you up to being able to if I don't do that automatically. A lot of times the non-live or ad people are pretty easy to tell by the way that the names go up, the way that they register. And those ones, I just don't give them any kind of posting rights. But there may be others in there that don't have posting rights that would like to have them. And all you need to do is send me a note and say, hey, I would like to have posting rights. So.
Easy enough. You just laid it out nicely.
Yeah, I look forward to next week, and we'll see what comes up between now and then. I look forward to seeing your YouTube video. And totally, totally fun. I love working with you. I love you. You're a wonderful, fun human being to be around, a wonderful friend, and I look forward to continuous contact with you, buddy.
Always, darling. You know it. Kisses to you, too.
Cool.
See you next week, dear.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.